Welcome back, Counterculture with Pastor Mark. We're not even going to pretend that we are wearing different clothes, are we, today?
No.
So this is a carryover from last week. We were talking about Ecclesiastes.
Because we were on a roll.
We were on a roll, and we're going to keep rolling lest we stop. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. I read verse 9 to you. We got stuck. Let me read it again. What gain has the worker from his toil? Asked the question, you answered that. Great, right? So verse 10 says, I have seen the business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. Now, we could talk about that, right? But I want to tie that in.
Did your Bible just end that sentence with a preposition?
It did.
Oh my
and
goodness.
it's ESV. It's like almost
my
godly,
goodness.
right? So verse 11.
Yes.
He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has put eternity into man's heart, yet so that he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to
We talked about
the
this last
end.
week.
We did talk about it. You talked about all of this. You had no idea where we were going.
I didn't.
And you didn't.
It was of the Lord.
Right.
It
I
was of
just
the
started
Lord.
the sentence, and it's amazing how much of this, right, you came up with, right? So, verse 12 says, I perceive that there is nothing better for them than to be joyful and to do good as long as they live. Also, that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift to man. So we take this whole section now in context, right?
Okay.
The first part says, what gain has the worker from his toil, right? And then we look at all of this stuff. But the verse that stuck out to me was, he has made everything beautiful in his time, right? We're looking at a world in total chaos right now, right? Fear, panic, all of these things. It is really hard for people to grasp this concept that God will make things beautiful, but it's in, right, its time. You talked about that. You talked about your garden last week, right? You talked about the whole idea that, hey, listen, there's things that I was so close to just pulling out and saying, hey, this isn't going to do anything, but then it came into its time, right? So how do we encourage people who are fighting battles and they feel like they're not winning? They feel like they're making no difference, right? They're going to their political meetings, they're going to their church meetings, they're going to their baseball, softball, whatever, kids meetings, and they're showing up and they're constantly trying to do right things, trying to be that message, and it's just seemingly having no effect. How do we convince people of this verse? You know what? It's just the right moment, in just the right time, right? Those people who are waiting for things, right? And we're asking them to march around the city of Jericho one more day, one more time, right? Do the same thing one more day, one more day, one more day, right? Yesterday, because I wasn't feeling well, I had that thought process, like, man, Lord, it's just every day, it's just one more, just do this one more day, Andy, one more day, one more day. And you just keep waiting for that very soon moment. And you're looking at it and saying, God promises he will make beautiful things in its time. How do we help people with this? Sorry for my rant.
It was a wonderful rant. I have nothing else to add. I do.
Not a true statement.
Here's what going through my mind.
Go.
One word.
Wow.
Compost.
Oh, I love that word. Compost.
And you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah, no, it
because
means a lot to me.
you have this gargantuan pile. My garden has never looked better, and it is because of you, Andrew Frudd.
Because
I
your
went
buddy
over to
gave
Andrew's-
you crap.
You did. You went over. That's right.
I watched it. I watched the
yeah.
video.
And I went over to your place, and you gave me the stuff. But, you know, it's like, here's the thing. I like to do a little cooking. Okay?
Singing and cooking with Mark coming soon.
I think I have some Italian in me. I speak Italian, as you know.
I
know,
heard.
you
I heard
know,
a little bit earlier.
You know. You can put all the ingredients in a pot, put it on your stove. But if you don't turn the stove on, let it heat up, it is not soup.
Ooh.
When does it become soup? When it has simmered. Now, you know that I'm a chicken guy.
You are a chicken
I am a
guy.
chicken guy. And here's what's funny is I've got, I got 6 new chickens in April, and those youngsters are starting to get to the point where they're about ready to start laying. I think some of them have. It's hard to tell because they're in with the other flock now, and I found some little bitty eggs, so I kind of figured it was them.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. We are such a culture of instant gratification that we do not understand delayed gratification. That we don't understand that things take time. I remember reading in one of Brennan Manning's books one time that this guy had gone to his priest and he said, "Priest, I want you to pray that God would instantaneously make me a neurosurgeon."
Oh.
And then I'm going to be a neurosurgeon, so just pray that God makes me a neurosurgeon. And so the priest said, "Okay, I'll pray for you on that." He goes, and he says, "Let's pray right now." So he prays with him right now. He goes, "Lord, help this brother understand that he needs to go to college for 4 years to study pre-med, and then he needs to go get his master's. Then he needs to go get his doctorate, and he goes to do an internship, and it'll probably take 10 or 12 years before this happens." But here's the thing is, my wife got me a coffee cup last Christmas that has campers on it.
Mm-hmm.
It says the journey is the destination. So here's what we forget. I remember talking to someone one time when I was getting ready to start my doctorate. And I was 40. I was going to be 45 when I got it. So it was 10 years ago. It was 10 years ago I completed my doctorate. And, excuse me, this person said to me, it was going to take about 2-3 years. And they were like, "Well, how old are you going to be when you finish?" I said, "Probably 45. I said, "But it doesn't really matter, does it? I'm going to be 45 anyway. I'm going to be 45 with this degree. I'm going to be 45 without. So why, if I want it, why don't I just go for it?"
Yeah.
And there was this beautiful process. We forget the process, that there is so much that God is doing, and we want it right now. We want everything to be done right now. And we forget that with the Apostle Paul, from the moment he hit the Damascus Road and Ananias kind of helped him do his feet and stuff, there's this gap. I've read some commentaries say 3 years, other commentaries say as much as like 7 or 10 years, that Paul went off to be educated.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. Now, he was already educated, but he kind of had to be re-educated. We are never done learning. We are never done growing. And if you are, then you're dead. You're dead. Change is inevitable. Growth is optional. As you and I know, because we're in that 50s club now, which is a wonderful club, by the way.
It's very prestigious.
It's very, and
once I found out
dignified.
Once I found out that you were the president, I thought that's better about being in it.
Yeah. Well, whatever. So we forget this journey. We forget, and we rob ourselves of so much when we don't walk slowly through the crowd, which is what Jesus did. Jesus always walked slowly through the crowd to see what the needs were, what was going on around him, so that he knew how to engage it and what to do. And we miss that because we're so concerned about our own stuff. And am I making a difference? I remember whining to a friend of mine one time when I was going through my dark night of the soul, some 10 years ago, whatever it was, and I said, I just don't want to go through life and then know that I think and not make a difference. He goes, "Guess what? You already have made a difference. Yeah. You've made a difference in so many people's lives." And it was an eye opener for me. It says, "Yeah, I have. God has used me and allowed me to be a part." I don't like using that word "use." No one wants to be used, but He's allowed me to be a part of what He's doing. That's a better way of putting it. Block that out because I'm going to use that in one of my channels. Anyway, I'm joking, but I can repeat it. It's okay. We'll overlap.
You're just teasing.
So that's right. Yeah, wait for that one to come. We miss it because we're so It reminds me of when my wife and I were on our honeymoon in Vermont. We were at this timeshare. We're sitting out on the deck, and there's all these trees around us. And Sandy goes, "Too bad all these trees are here. We can't see the hillside of trees." And we laugh about it now still because you can't see the forest for the trees. That is a true statement, though. We miss so much because sometimes what's right in front of us, and we want the big grandiose things, and yet I have found through my life that it is not the gargantuan moments that God has used in my life to grow me. It's the little baby steps.
I think
it's the little baby steps. Sometimes it's the little things that you realize, wow.
So now you got me stuck. So now they can look forward to some seeds and some simple truths stuck on this. I think a great majority of the Old Testament is about people in their process.
Yeah.
Right. So all of First Samuel. Yeah. All of First Samuel is David getting to the point of being king. Yeah. Right. It's Second Samuel that's king. It's Abraham. The entire story of Abraham is about him getting to the promised land, right, which he never really got. The entire story of Joseph is lots of about him getting to be second in charge of the world, and a little tiny bit about what happened once he really was the second person. It's amazing that God really focuses in on the process. I was challenged by somebody recently, you know, and again, by, you know, God says it, that, listen, don't forget me when you get what you want, right? That's the problem. That we go through the process, we're so focused on wanting what we want, and then when we get it, it's like, okay, we take our ball and we go home. We forget to play ball with it. And I think those are important things. So I appreciate that you took a counterculture, made it personally convictional to me. Thank you. That makes you my personal pastor now. That's a lot of responsibility. You should probably weigh that very heavily. There's a time, Mark.
I'm just the messenger.
Don't give me that responsibility.
I just want to be a blessing in whatever small way I can. The smaller, the better.
It's a great topic. It's a great Moments with Mark topic. Does blessing come from convictional moments? There. Ooh. Don't miss the blessing in conviction. I love that. That's a book. We should write it. You're the doctor. You write it. Here we go. We will see you next time for Counter Culture.